Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to be talking about angles and their measurements. This is the beginning of Unit 4. So our do now is this. Draw an angle that is 90 degrees. So that looks something like this. Okay. So my pen's a little too thin. Sorry. So let me make this a little darker. So a 90-degree angle would look something like that. So that would be 90 degrees. All right. A 45-degree angle is about half of 90. So there you go, your 45-degree. And then 135 is like adding 45 to the 90. So here's your initial, and then that will go about over here. So that's about 135 degrees. Okay, so that's how we can get a feel for those. So we can read this quickly. An angle in standard position has its initial side on the positive x-axis. That's this. Okay, that's kind of like the initial angle on the positive x-axis and opens counterclockwise to the terminal side. The terminal one, I try to match the color, is where essentially it ends, okay, to form a positive angle, or opens clockwise to form a negative angle. So counterclockwise goes like this, okay? So you always open angles in this direction for them to be positive. Now, if you want them to be negative, you go clockwise, which goes like in that direction, just like a clock. So negative would be that way. Okay? Coterminal angles have the same initial and terminal side. That means they begin and end in the same place. They can be negative or positive. Okay? So in other words, how do I put this? Oh, I can show you here with this last example right here. So here's an angle. So this is just a very standard angle. An angle just does a thing, starts and ends somewhere. Standard position, which I'll do in green. Standard position means it starts here, ends there. Then here you have your positives and negative versions, so I'll do those in purple. So positive is that it went this way, and then your negative is that it went the opposite way, clockwise. Okay, coterminal angles, which I'll do, let's say in blue, means that your A, or your positive, went and stopped here, but your negative also went and stopped there. Okay, here, if you can see this one, zoom in, A went here, but then negative went all the way around backwards to get there. Okay, so back and then came back over here. So coterminal angles just means that they went, oh sorry, this one's also positive, but it went all the way around to get back to where the alpha was. Okay, so again, a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it and you draw your own, you examine a whole bunch of them, it'll make sense to you. All right, so there are 360 degrees in a circle. Most of you probably already knew that. Okay, revolutions. A full rotation of a circle equals one revolution, which is 360 degrees. Okay, the little O there is the degree symbol. The two revolutions, you just multiply it times 2. So this would be 720 degrees. 3 revolutions, you just multiply it times 3. So this would be 1080 degrees, and so on and so forth. So now we're going to find the measure of an angle. So notice that this angle is going backwards. So since it's going clockwise, we know that this is going to be negative. Okay? And so it went all the way over there. So the measure of this angle is, we at least know it's going to be negative, and we're going to actually figure that out because the arrow is going clockwise. All right? So then what we're going to do is actually calculate this. So we know this went around once, all the way around. So one for a full rotation. So it's negative 360. And then it kept going for a little bit more. So let's see, I'll do this in pink. It kept going for another 180 degrees, because that's a half rotation. So I'm going to subtract another 180. And then they gave us a hint right here that this distance right here is 80 degrees. So since it went that distance a little bit more, still in the negative direction, I'm going to subtract another 80. And then we just have to combine these values, right? So let's see, negative 360 minus 180, and then minus 80 again. If you do some quick math, you get negative 620. So the answer is 620 because the arrow is going clockwise. All right, now we're going to find two positive and two negative coterminal angles. We do this by adding or subtracting revolutions. So you will add if you want to find the positive ones, and you keep adding until you become positive. Okay, and then subtracting revolutions, which means we're subtracting or adding the 360. Okay, remember, it's all about 360. So subtracting that means it's the same as positive. So you keep subtracting until you're negative. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Let's go with positives. So to make it positive, we start with our negative 620, and I'm going to add 360 to it. Okay, because now we're moving in the counterclockwise direction. So it would be negative 620 plus 360. We get negative 260. Not enough. Okay, we have to keep adding 360 till it works. So plus another 360. And you know what? I'm going to make the 360 blue because that's what we're doing to it. Okay, so let me make this blue. All right. So negative 620 plus 360 is a 100. So now we're positive. So here's our first positive coterminal angle. Because by adding 360, we're doing this essentially. Let me erase this so you can see what's happening. By adding 360, I'm just going all the way around like that. I went right back to where I started. But because it was already negative, I needed to do it again to make it positive. Okay? So we have our first positive coterminal angle. Now we're going to add another 360 to it. So plus 360 to get the next one. So since we're adding 360, and I said I was going to do it in blue, so plus 360. So that would be 460. And so there are two positive coterminal angles. Honestly, you're just adding 360 over and over and over. Okay? Now, for the negative coterminal angles, we can start at our negative 620, and if we want to get another negative, you just subtract 360. So let's see, it's negative 620 minus 360. You get minus, so this is an answer now, minus 980. Okay, and then if we want another negative coterminal angle, we just subtract another 360. So minus 360. And so we have negative 1340. Okay, and that's how you get your two positive, two negatives. So we're going to do literally the exact same thing on the next page. Find the original angle, follow the order, like follow the line. So this line went positive. I went counterclockwise, so it's going to be positive. So it did a full rotation plus whatever this little distance is. Well, if I know this whole thing here to be 90 degrees, and they're telling me that this little distance right here is 75, well, this is going to be 15 degrees. So since I know that's 15 degrees, this one, honestly, the red one, is just a full rotation plus 15 degrees. So that's going to be 375. So that's the angle of red all the way around. And now you're just going to find your two positives, two negatives. So you're going to add 360 to it twice. And the negative, you're going to subtract 360 until you get negative and then do it again. All right, so you guys are in charge of the remainder of these questions. All right, tomorrow during class or whatever day it is. So have yourselves a wonderful weekend or evening, and I'll see you all later.